Hello, everyone. Welcome to the seventh episode of Tosh News in this brand new second series of Tosh News, where we're not quite as serious and we let people swear a bit more. I think that's the main difference. Apart from that, we go through news of the week as we always do. I suppose another thing that's new with this particular one is the meme of the week. Those of you on the panel, obviously, it's in the other side of the hill channel on Discord. We're talking about the Grenfell Museum. I suppose I should introduce everyone first, but I'll get all their opinions on it while I'm at it. So, firstly, hello Tharium, what are your opinions on the Grenfell Museum?
It is Yimby heresy. It must be destroyed. Burn it a second time.
It's Yimby heresy, but it's NIMBYism to want to keep it because they want to replace it with another set of flats, I would imagine. So, surely it's NIMBYism to keep it, you know?
It needs to be burned down a second time.
Okay, Jack. Hello, Jack. What is your opinion on the Grenfell Museum?
It is impressive that.
It's impressive that. Why do people want to keep it?
Yeah, I don't even know how anyone would even think of that, being like, please remove this.
I mean, isn't it true that there are still bodies in the Grenfell Tower they've not managed to actually find or take out? So it might be that, but surely you'd want it knocked down even more then, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Cero, your take on the Grenfell Museum?
I think that this is just a huge ploy and a redirection from the fact that they probably are so broke that they can't afford to actually knock it down.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Let's do tinfoil hat.
Well, were they council? Were they council owned or?
I think they were. I think. Yeah, I think they were actually, or at least there was a policy around it. Because I remember talking with some Tory MPs saying that basically the only reason that it kicked up such a fuss was basically because it was a political wedge issue.
Well, anyway, that's the Grenfell Museum. Yeah, to people, I probably should say what the actual story is. Yeah, so they want to knock down the old Grenfell Tower because it's an eyesore, and no one obviously can live in a burned out apartment complex. So they want to knock it down and rebuild it. But you know, it won't catch fire as easily this time round, I hope.
Well, yeah, it won't be because it won't be built for another 20 years. So.
Well, true. And it'll probably cost about £60 billion or something, which by that time would only be 10 minutes of NHS spending at least. But Tory rebuttals confirming yes, it was council owned. So the council want to replace it with more council flats. So maybe I am for keeping it now. I've been convinced otherwise, but NIMBYs, what have you got to say for yourself? This is what your side want. They want to keep a burned out eyesore.
I never wanted Grenfell in the first place.
Well, you got it.
Yeah.
And now your NIMBY position is we can't get rid of it.
Yeah. Which is Yimby or NIMBY? Which one's the eject it into space option?
NIMBY.
Okay, sweet.
Stormzy said we'll never forget Grenfell. He said it'll never be knocked down. Oh, there you go. What?
Whereas Yimbys are the Harrian position of we want more Grenfells.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, but only replacing burned down Grenfells.
Oh, no, you want more.
Hang on.
If there's a space, you want to stick another Grenfell in it.
No, only in places it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to have tower blocks in London, doesn't it?
See, look at him. He wants more.
It's London. It's already concrete. Where is the countryside in this picture?
Where it used to be there, and then
Did it?
they went and stuck a Grenfell Tower on it.
Where was Grenfell?
Once upon a time. I'm sure that 100 years ago there was probably at least a tree there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I like how I typed in Grenfell countryside, and the first thing that came up on Google was Grenfell Tower fire. They just don't want you to forget. All I'm getting is pictures of America. So there's a Grenfell in America that's got a countryside, but
did that burn down as well?
I don't think so.
It's not in California.
I'm not being
California.
I'm not being funny, but looking at pictures of Grenfell, all you get is pictures of the fire, which is pretty grim, I'll admit. But it is basically a concrete jungle, so I'm not having that. It's not countryside. It's none of your business. Get out of it.
Oh, I'm happy.
It used to be.
Oh yeah, sure.
I won't visit.
Oh god. Anyway,
I'm trying to move further into the countryside.
Anyway, I'm not having this be the Grenfell episode. We want to get onto chicken nuggets at some point. Is there any international news? I keep forgetting what Trump's done this week, but he has actually done a lot.
All the things.
All of the things.
Has he taken over Greenland? Has he taken over Greenland yet?
No, I think he's. I think one of the main things is to do with Israel and Palestine, as always.
Oh yeah.
He's buying Gaza.
Yeah, we're going to buy Gaza.
He's buying Gaza and creating the Riviera or something. I love how I do love how we're in this timeline again, because I keep listening to BBC Radio 4, and a lot of the conversation on there about Trump is, see, we don't know how serious he is, but it's that for like 20 minutes. And it's like, you got to I don't think Trump is planning to buy up Gaza himself and make a Riviera on it. I think what he means is they need to move out while they rebuild the city to be better than it was before. You know, that's probably what he means. Yeah. But obviously they're too. The BBC are too used to people like Tony Blair, where they kind of understand it's a spin doctor thing, whereas Trump doesn't have a spin doctor. Trump just kind of says things.
Well, I mean, I'm enjoying the Blitzkrieg, where there's just so many different things happening all at once that they can't possibly cover it all, so they're just kind of.
They try and pick the important ones.
They're just screeching, just being like, something please. They're just trying to hang on to anything.
Just make it make sense, yeah. Yeah. Well, of course. Oh, that also happened over the past couple of weeks. Rory Stewart got called a midwit by JD Vance. That was very funny. And BBC Radio 4 got Rory Stewart on again to talk about IQ. And I found it really funny that Rory Stewart talked about IQ on about 3 different Twitter threads, and then was on shows talking about IQ, and then was on his own show talking about it again. And then in the end he said, oh, JD Vance and Trump, they're just obsessed with IQ, when that was the only time they said IQ. And he's done nothing but talk about it for like a week after. It was nuts. I couldn't believe he said it, but he's a complete moron.
That is pure projection. There is.
Yeah. You're in the minus percentages of self-awareness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've just seen as well on Twitter, there was an excerpt from Sam Harris's recent podcast, and big citizens journalist, known citizens journalist, and now known coward Max Tempers was mentioned by some British journalist who basically got really annoyed that he just posted some the Oxford rape gang court notes, and that blew up again because nobody realised how horrific the crimes were because it wasn't reported on, and she had a go at him for reporting the crime. Like, why is he reporting the crime and acting like no one's reported this before? And everyone's saying, well, these specific crimes weren't reported before, and people are pretty horrified, but she's blaming the anonymous account and called him a racist. So that happened as well, which I found very funny. But anyway, Rory Stewart claims to have an 132 IQ, but he doesn't seem to understand IQ percentiles. Well, what actually was said on the rest of his politics is Rory Stewart said that he's taken an IQ test before, and then so Alistair Campbell said, "Oh, what was the result?" And he said, "Oh, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to play this game," which screams to me that it's 110. It screams to me that he's a midwit, and he just doesn't want to say it. But yeah, it's
that, and also there are some. I always hold that there are some positions that are so stupid that only smart people can believe in them. So multiple things can be true at once.
The old,
not that I think that he is 130.
The old, what's it called?
Well, that comes to like people with 110 IQ. That's the thing about it, is the fact that they are midwits, that they're smart enough to think that they're smart, but not actually
it's
special in any way.
The actual quote's from Orwell, and it's he doesn't say like genius or anything. He says intellectual, and an intellectual doesn't necessarily mean clever person. It just means it basically means academic, which Rory Stewart is, because he did go to Oxford. To be fair to him,
I forgot that was the Orwell quote, and that was me thinking that I was being original. But yeah, no, now that you mention it.
Yeah. Well, you probably heard it in my video, to be honest, because I mention it quite a lot.
Probably.
Anyway, I was trying to stall because what's he called? John said he might come on if he has time, but we'll have to wait and see if he comes on. But we should be able to stall to the chicken nugget story that everyone's waiting for. But first, Labour released video.
The other thing in the Trump land is US aid getting shut down.
Oh, USA is getting shut down. Sorry, I'm putting the thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting the Grenfell Museum back on. We can talk about that.
And Department of Education is next.
I mean,
it's all going.
what I find so funny about the US AIDS thing is that when you've got Musk who's overseeing it, he's just tweeting ridiculous things that they keep finding, like the amount they spent on like gender training in Afghanistan or something, which obviously Callum found when he went over there.
He just found it in an alleyway somewhere.
It was like 50 folders of it or something, and he's like, "Yeah, this is what US AIDS is doing." Like,
if anyone in chat hasn't seen Callum, like ex Lotus Eaters Callum, if you haven't seen his channel, it's like Britannica one, I think, and he did a video when he went to Afghanistan, and literally in that video, I would say check it out. But he found a load of these like folders of stuff, just junk at the back of an alleyway, which was all like the, I can't remember exactly, but it was like a feminist agriculture or something like that, and all of these folders just stashed, just chucked down the back of an alleyway. It was just the most amazing thing to see. Strongly recommend it if anyone hasn't seen it.
I mean, he couldn't believe it, and I don't think anyone else who's seen it could believe it. USAID's funding BBC, and we're disappointed it wasn't the Americans' usual BBC. Yeah, BBC got USAID's funding as well. To be fair to him, Jack did mention that Musk just doesn't understand, or maybe he does, but he's going to ruin the United States soft power program that they've been putting forward for probably half a century.
Yeah. Americans are looking at it going, I can't believe they're wasting all our money on all this crap. But this crap is what's ensuring that all of America's vassals stay compliant. Push all this crap, keep us weak and compliant.
Yeah, and well, now it's all been shown to be Well, that's what I mean. It should be an absolutely huge scandal, and it is in America, but
but like
BBC
the thing about
touching it.
The soft power type of thing is that like it's not really like paying for things. That's just in terms of
because they're not just paying for things like this. They fund any sort of politicians and media and stuff that promotes what America wants in all these foreign countries.
But it's not what America wants. It's what the narrative wants. So him gutting it is.
That's the problem.
More what the CIA want.
Yeah, it's what the CIA want, but the American public don't realize that they are actually benefiting from this. But because they don't understand how their system works. They just see, why is our money being spent on this? And they don't realize that money is coming back to America through various things that the deep state has set up.
And I think the one thing is that Trump generally seems to prefer the hard power over soft power anyway. And hard power is a lot more. Seems to. I was going to say that to the general sort of populace, hard power is a lot more tangible than soft power. But then
meanwhile,
how much is soft power? Yeah, sorry.
Summer would prefer to spend 18 billion in some islands for some soft power instead.
Well, I was about to mention the Chagos and how valuable soft power actually is once push comes to shove.
Yeah.
I think America has been over the past few decades has been very good with its soft power though. For Americans, if you look at the Cold War, America were the good guys compared to the pure hard power Soviet Union. Lots of people, the people under the Soviet sphere, weren't happy with them, whereas people were generally much happier under the American sphere.
I guess
even though we didn't really realize at the time that we were our sovereignty had been sold out from underneath us.
Yeah, and I think that one of the sort of classic and most quintessential soft power moves that I guess we tend to not think about is the petrodollar.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone for a very long time, and the petrodollar is essentially the world currency in many ways.
Yeah,
and sorry, Karen.
Yeah, and it shackles us to them. If we want real stuff, we've got to buy dollars that they can just print for nothing.
Yep. Yeah,
and hopefully that's being ruined by Trump and Musk.
Yeah,
Well,
unwittingly.
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, no, I don't think it's unwittingly, because once again, it's just like.
I think they don't. I think, like Jack is right, they don't really get how American foreign power works, because it's never like they don't teach that in their schools, because otherwise Americans might start having a, hang on, are we the baddies?
Well, they don't have the plausible deniability of we don't actually want a war, but we're being forced into it by the other faction. It's that South Park episode where the more redneck side of South Park really want the war in Iraq, and the Randy Marsh more Democrat side really don't want the war. And they like go back in time or have a dream or something, the South Park boys. They just hear Ben Franklin basically say, oh, well, we obviously need to do this war, but we obviously don't want a war, so we'll just pretend we don't want the war while actually fighting it. And then that's how America works. And everyone's kind of just fine with it. Anyway, back to boring British news. Well, unless... what's your...
Oh, no, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Anyway, Labour released footage of deportation flights for the first time. Do they actually have the video here? Yeah, they do. All right. I mean, it just looks lame from what I've seen.
Yeah.
There's like
obviously trying to copy Trump here.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing.
But they're not being marched off in chains. Like
no.
There's 20. There's like 20 people in high-vis jackets for one fella.
Yeah, I know.
6 coppers for one fella. You must be joking. It's just.
This is
This
6
sucks.
modern British police officers, though, so that's about equal.
Yeah, it just sucks. It just.
You'd be able to escape by challenging them to a pull-up.
There is a second guy. It's just this. You know when you see the American ones and it's a cargo plane full of them and they're being basically herded in like cattle.
Yeah.
Well, they're like chained together and they're just being fudged in. You're like,
And this one's just kind of one dude.
I wish they were using cattle prods, actual cattle prods. Just.
And then at the same time, both Trump and Tom Homan are like, it's not enough. Give us more.
I was going to say, were you disappointed when you found out that the people on the southern border weren't using whips on horses to?
I know.
To corral them?
I know, that was sad.
They paid them £3,000 to get on the plane. Oh, great!
Of course they did.
Yeah, I forgot about that bit. Thanks for that, Tori, but you've just made it worse. Anyway,
oh wait, are there still applications? Can anyone else get deported? Just out of interest.
I think you'll have to renounce your British citizenship to get on this plane as well. So how much
not
is
allowed.
that worth?
This is the annual limit has now been reached. Sorry.
So hundreds of illegal migrants and foreign criminals require force.
Have to wait 2 decades to get the next lot. Sorry, carry on.
It says require force to be removed, but they were paid £3,000, so I don't know how required that force is. From the UK each month, the Home Office has revealed, as it published footage of deportation flights for the first time, Labour has published data showing that 18,987 people have been deported since the party entered the government in July, the highest number in any six-month period since 2017, as it tries to show voters it is acting to tackle illegal immigration. I think it was pointed out by VP on Twitter to me that it's actually just well within the pattern of post-COVID deportations, because the Tories did start deporting and they were ramping it up, and this is just following that trend, so it's not like Labour are doing anything particularly to accelerate it. So
such tiny numbers, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nothing compared to we have. Yeah, we're probably looking at millions.
Compared to the million they've let in. Yeah.
I mean, we're just talking millions of people here illegally or criminally, or are criminals, foreign criminals. Like, yeah, I'm talking just reform policy, deportation. Like that alone is probably still millions. 3/4 of the deportees left the UK voluntarily on commercial flights, and only a fraction have arrived on small boats, which kind of makes it worse, because that's what everyone obviously wants.
Is there any policy from them not just immediately re-entering the country?
Well, that's the other
And
thing.
getting another $3,000?
Not really.
Or have we're going to get there, are we? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's modern day Dane
Yeah, so 39 charter flights. Again, another thing you got to bear in mind is that Labour were pushing to stop charter flights of deportations. especially to Rwanda. And now they're trying to say, oh, look, we were for deportations the whole time. Nobody buys it. This is why nobody wants... Well, not nobody. This is why only like 20% of the country want to vote for them. So...
I don't even see why they are voting for them. Are they all union? I don't know.
All union students
It's
or
all
idiots.
it's the NHS stuff. 20% of the population
but
is
they're
now
getting
in the
screwed
NHS.
as well, though. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay. You know what? I'm dropping it. I'm not going to think about it.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello, John.
Do you want to see this excellent footage of a deportation?
Yeah, go on.
Oh, look at this. Like, imagine like heavy metal music, you know, it's like Doom. Look. One guy. 6 coppers for one bloke. To be fair, it goes on, there's a second.
I take it this one wasn't allergic to foreign chicken nuggets.
Probably not. But they did have to pay $3,000 to get him to leave.
Oh, it's a voluntary repatriation then.
Well, that's what it's saying. I think it's... What was it? Yeah, 3/4 of the deportees left the UK voluntarily on commercial flights, and only a fraction arrived on small boats. There you go. 39 charter flights, 4 more than in the same period last year, have taken people to countries including Brazil, Vietnam, and Albania. Still not really sure why Rwanda was such an issue, but...
Oh, that was racist, you see.
Yeah, well, it was a black country, so I guess that'd be it.
Yep.
I don't mean Birmingham. The Home Office has also revealed for the first time the scale of the operations required for each deportation flight, which can take up to 4 months to arrange. Officials said that about 10% of deportees, nearly 300 a month, required some form of force to get on a plane, including rigid bar handcuffs, waist restraints, and leg restraints. Oh, so they did restrain some of them. Some of them were forced.
Sorry,
what?
I do need to correct you.
Oh.
Because Birmingham is not in the Black Country.
Ever. Midlands. I don't know. It's all south. It's all south to me, John. It doesn't make a difference. To me. A small minority have been restrained and physically carried onto the plane, officials said, but the vast majority leave without fear for restraints. Each person removed can require up to 5 escorts to physically force them to board the plane and restrain them during the flight. The escorts are provided by private contractor, Mitty Care and Custody, and trained by the prison service. Oh, great. So that they probably make an absolute bomb from this, don't they? You know, first it was people who own hotels. Obviously, they get paid mint to house a bunch of asylum seekers, and now it's going to be these prison contractors. They're going to make a mint from all these deportation flights, which I suppose at least that's getting rid of a problem. So I'm less annoyed about it.
When reform gets in, the hotels aren't going to know what to do. They'll get someone coming up to them. You know, they claim
they'll need to encourage tourism again.
Yeah, they'll be like, wait, you want to wait? You're how many nights? Only 5. You're not staying here for a few years.
I worked during that kind of period. I worked for a company that was quite reliant on sort of hotels, people staying away to do work, like in that local area, and the price of hotels just basically doubled overnight,
Awesome.
which is I'm sure you can appreciate doesn't do wonders for a business bottom line.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think we could do a Worcester Club Deportation Services LLC?
What, and deport the Worcester Club one by one?
No. We offer our service to get these people on planes.
We restrain them, carry them on the plane.
Full cattle prods, chains.
Like a PMC, but for deportation.
If they refuse to get off the plane once we get there, we just kind of roll John behind them like the big boulder from Indiana Jones, and then they're forced to get off the plane. So.
No, it'll be instead of a PMC, it'll be a PDC, just a private deportation company.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that'll be Homeland's new policy next week. So of the nearly 19,000 people removed from the UK between July 5th and January 2025, I assume that's July 2024, only 5,074 were enforced returns. Of the total, 2,925 were foreign offenders. So who are the other 2,000?
Were they just going on holiday?
Well, maybe. I mean, the other thing I find funny here is that this is literally voluntary repatriation, which we have actually had as a policy for probably decades at this point.
For ages, yeah.
I think the Conservatives brought it in.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Theresa May.
Yeah, the main problem is that nobody knows it exists. Because I remember the Dork Wright talked about this like 5 years ago, and I was like, this exists, right? We already have a repatriation policy. But obviously, the issue is that it's not worth going back because there's no punishment for staying, and in fact, you get a council house half the time if you stay. So why would they take the £3 to go home?
Strictly speaking, I think unless you're a refugee, you're not eligible for quite a number of benefits.
Yeah, but everyone's a refugee these days.
If you've been in the country for 5 years, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain.
Mm-hmm. At which point you do.
At which point, yeah, you just get everything. So,
so
there'll be lots of people like that as well.
My extended family don't get a lot of free stuff. To be fair, yeah, I think that they should have come over on the boats.
Yeah, well, if you come over on the boat, you get a free hotel and free dental care and free doctors, whatever.
Yeah, we had to pay for our own dental care.
Yeah. Well, I pay for my own dental care as well. But
for access to the NHS, you pay like a couple £100 a year for every year you stay, which is very minimal. If you
that's probably less than that's less than you're paying, John.
What do you mean? I mean, this is a hell of a lot less than I'm paying.
Yeah.
I think there was a breakdown. I saw a breakdown of where tax money goes. Most 20% of it goes into welfare, another 20% into health, like 15% into pensions, and it just made me angry. So 20% of what you're taxed, John, goes straight to the NHS. So
I know.
It's probably about 5.
I thought it was about 30% on the NHS.
Yeah, I thought it was that.
It might have been 2018. Then I can't remember.
I think 14% is bombing people in the Middle East or military.
I wish that was
not. 100%. It's never that much.
Is it not that much?
It was like 8%.
We don't.
Is it 8%?
Yeah, it was a lot. I can't remember the exact amount. It was whatever.
The last time I looked was a number of years ago. I haven't looked since because it makes me angry.
Wouldn't that just be part of the defense budget?
Yeah, basically.
Well, the defense budget's less like. Oh no, it's a percentage of GDP. I'm thinking. Right. Okay. Fair enough. The flights have deported migrants to Africa, Asia, Europe, and South America. Why have none gone? Oh, but it literally says Africa right there, Harry. Gee.
The UK budget breakdown: defence is 4.8%, education is 11%, welfare 14.8%, foreign aid, health 18.2%, pensions 20.3%.
Christ.
Financial, which is I imagine servicing the debt, 14.4%.
I kind of hate to say it, but why are we against euthanasia?
Moral reasons, allegedly.
Yeah, but is it moral to take my money and give it to old people? Might be more moral just to let them,
Well, considering that we're probably not going to get a pension when we get to pension age, because
yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say I am strongly of the opinion that public or what was it, national pension, whatever it's called, isn't going to exist when we get to pension age.
There's a handful of arguments around pension. If you're promised something on the basis that you do something, then you should receive that thing, which is why I think it's reasonable for most people currently of pension age to expect a pension, whether they're lied to or not, in terms of whether what they paid funded that pension is neither here nor there. They've done what was asked of them.
They paid into the system, quote unquote.
But the problem is it was never intended to be subsistence level income for a start. It also, when it was implemented, was received by a tiny minority of the population. Now it's virtually everyone. And the final one is that it creates a massive market distortion because it enables people that otherwise wouldn't be able to live on their own or whatever to do just that in houses which they bought with their own money. They're entitled to them, but why should they continue to own a house that large, heat a house that large, etc., at the cost of everyone else? Yeah, it's perfectly fine to own those houses when you're paying for them yourself.
Yeah.
The pension is a massive challenge, but it is one that arguably it's probably the worst. We're going into the period where it's going to be the worst it's probably going to be, because this is the largest cohort approaching pension age with the smallest number of children.
Yep, because it's always the future generations that actually pay for the pensions.
Yeah. So once the current, and I don't wish to speak ill of anyone approaching state pension age or who's currently a pensioner now. Again, you've done what you were told you were doing in order to provide for it.
Yeah.
Whether you're willfully ignorant about how that actually worked or not is, that's why we have elected officials. They're meant to, they're meant to be honest with people and provision for this stuff.
Alas.
Alas.
But I mean, there is the point that it can just get to the point where if you're what you're saying about they did what they can, but if something's no longer possible, then tough.
Hang on,
you lose out.
Tory was saying the state pension is important because it forced people to save for their own retirement. You're not forced to, but you're automatically enrolled onto a pension scheme whenever you have a job. You can opt out of it, but you'd be an idiot too. But that's pretty much. Well, it's not being forced to, as I say, but it's automatically putting you on a private pension scheme, which
you have to bear in mind that the majority, the median wage in Britain, contributing to a pension scheme is not going to provide the amount of money that a state pension provides.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Well, yeah, I would imagine the idea is you go onto the private pension, then you slowly phase out the state pension. Auto enrollment only started in 2011. I know it was recent, but that's what I mean. In the long term, hopefully it replaces it.
The problem with this is,
yeah,
I think that was the intention behind auto enrollment.
Yeah.
But because you never put in place the framework behind it, probably because you were afraid of spooking people as to its purpose, you've it's kind of stagnated. Like, I think the intent probably was for it to become mandatory with no opt-out, probably for the percentage to continue increasing.
Yeah.
I don't know to what point, maybe 10% of your wage, maybe, with a contribution from your employer. But also, I think it probably was the intention that there would start to be a taper whereby, well, you've paid in for 10 years, so you lose the equivalent of 10 years of your state pension, kind of thing.
Yeah, could have.
But it will never happen because too many people rely on it, and it's always going to be an election loser.
Yeah, well,
Theresa May saw it when she attempted to fiddle with social welfare, social care for elderly people by saying effectively, if you have a mental health disease as opposed to a physical health disease, you'll have to sell your property to provide for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where no politician is going to want to kick that particular can or particular hornet's nest.
Yeah, you can't afford not to kick the can down the road, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Democracy makes it very easy to promise things
with other people's money,
and very difficult to go back on those promises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I was partially in favour of governments having sort of 20-year terms with a vote of no, like a national vote of no confidence every 5 years, rather than a straight up general election.
Well, it would definitely give people more. It would give people more. I mean, I can understand it to some extent. Actually, I mean, I'm not sure how it would work practically, but the whole argument that monarchs at least care for a country long term rather than just be on the next news cycle.
Well, just think you wouldn't. I mean, everyone knows the famous Nick Clegg thing, whereby we didn't end up with a new nuclear power plant because basically it wouldn't be built within the term of Parliament.
Oh, it would take too long. It would take They wouldn't come online until 2020.
Thanks, Clegg.
Yeah, thanks
Clegg. Yeah, nice one.
God, I hate him so much.
But that's the problem. I mean, if parliaments were say 20 years, and every 5 years you had to get 50% of the electorate to, say that they don't want you to stay in, then I mean, maybe 50% is too low. I don't know, but that's my kind of thinking, is to give stability so that unpopular things can be done over a longer term. And I'm quite aware that might mean we end up with people like Labour in, like the current Labour government, for a very long time. But if the general public elect them, then they've elected them.
I'm not being funny, but with the way the polls are going, when you have the general vote of no confidence, I'd be panicking if I was Labour.
Well, yeah, possibly.
Anyway.
I think that just on a closing point,
right.
just as a principle, I think that having politicians require some sort of stake or responsibility beyond their term, or having to have some sort of marker of success during their term, some sort of level of accountability, definitely would be an advantage to the current system.
I think Rupert Lowe's doing an interesting thing with his earnings from the House of Commons. I think the level of earnings that the House of Commons provides to MPs is at such a level that it incentivizes careerists. I think someone like Rupert Lowe, whose wealth provides his income and is tied up predominantly within the national interest, is a far more valuable politician than someone who's a wage seeker.
So, like, if there was like a way of tying up their assets and they can't touch them while they're in office or something,
I don't think it should be a paid position.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well, that's how it used to be, yeah.
Because they say, like, the other side, they say,
pay more to attract the best and brightest.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near like the actual best and brightest salaries.
Yeah, well, it's because it wouldn't be enough, because it's going to be in
so you're not getting them. You're just getting
some of the people in my company. Yeah. Some of the people in my company earn in a quarter what an MP earns in a year. Like it's.
Well, yeah, because I mean the public sector is not really to compete with the private sector in that terms. Like,
yeah.
No, but you're not. See, it's not attracting. Paying them more isn't attracting the best. You're just getting midwits. So give them nothing, then you'll just attract people who just want to do it.
Midwits and Angela Rayner, yeah. Well, anyway, we've spent enough time on this article and then not talked about it. A record number of illegal workers arrested, Home Office figures show. So, thing that got me with this one is, who are they after? Small boat migrants are working off the books in car washes, nail bars, convenience stores, and restaurants, and as delivery drivers. Which is like,
I was going to say that last part. I walked to the pub this evening, and I nearly had a big fallout with which one was it? Not Deliveroo.
Uber Eats.
Not Uber Eats. There's another.
Just Eat.
Just Eat.
Was it?
Who decided he didn't need to stop at a red light on his bicycle, mount the pavement, almost knocked me over, and then park his bike across a pedestrian crossing so that you couldn't then move up the street because he's taking up the whole pavement.
Did you
made my feelings known.
Did you report him to our version of ICE?
Well, there's no point, because they're basically undocumented.
Well, they're getting him. Well, yeah, true. I did find
I think Uber Eats, Deliveroo, all those kind of people should be forced to take these people onto their books and do the due diligence checks that every other company has to do.
Yeah, the gig economy's clearly shown that it's, well, basically not to be trusted. But the thing is that, okay, car washes were an obvious one. The thing I find funny about these particular raids
it's just a convenient way for big companies to dodge their social responsibility, and
yeah. No, I get that. No, everyone agrees with that. What I'm saying is that the government's gone for very easy targets, and they've gone for kind of the lowest rung of the illegal operation, if you know what I mean. Like, everyone knows that they're doing delivery drivers. Everyone knows that they're in restaurants, but I'd much rather that, as you say, the companies are actually liable and effectively get closed down.
I'd rather they did both.
Or both, yeah. Well, yeah. But they don't go after American sweet shops. It's not Turkish barbers, because they are the big fronts of it. And you'd probably find a whole drug operation working out the back of them or something like that. But
I wouldn't make allegations like that. I don't know.
No.
I've stated my view, which is that
fine.
they probably do all right because it's one of the few things that you actually need to go and have done by someone.
Yeah. So they raided 828 businesses and made 509 arrests in January, and 73% increase compared to January last year, and the highest monthly figure recorded according to the Home Office. Which, well, you're obviously going to have the highest ever, because we've never had more illegal immigrants working in Britain than ever before. So, yeah. So you don't get any popcorn from me for that. Anyway, I just want to start off with those two of, look at Labour, they're doing the bare minimum and reaching for the lowest apples. Illegal immigrant claims husband would find Caribbean too hot.
Based.
So, a woman's deportation to Grenada, or was it Grenada? I can't remember. Was delayed. Grenada.
Grenada, yeah.
I know there's a Grenada and I know there's a Grenada. Was delayed after she argued that her husband did not like the Caribbean food and would struggle with the heat, the times can reveal.
Okay, Caribbean food, that's not based. He should be flayed in Minecraft. But the weather I can definitely appreciate is way too hot.
Where's the husband from? I bet he's from the Caribbean.
I think he's from Latvia. Yeah, he's a Latvian forklift driver.
They're welcome to enjoy a long distance relationship.
This is effectively the inverse of my.
Well, the thing is, I know. Well, the thing is should this Latvian be here either? And two, can he actually eat anything other than potatoes? Because Latvians are basically the island of.
Again, I disavow all these kind of comments.
I did previously date a Lithuanian though. That was basically next door, and I can partially verify the potato thing.
Yeah, there you go. See, I'm not racist. I'm just anthropological. Lynthia Callist arrived in the UK as a visitor with her son in March 2018 on a 6-month visa, but remained in the UK. Incredible.
See,
yeah, thank God. Well,
you've broken the law. I don't care about any other consideration.
But the crazy thing is here, John, it sounds like she met this Latvian in the UK while she was living here when she shouldn't be. How has the UK become the world's Tinder?
I mean, it kind of works for me. I mean, except I was supposed to be here.
Yeah, but you've not broken any laws, so yeah. Still though.
That we know of.
Well, that we know of, yeah.
Well, immigration related, which is you're definitely true. There we go.
Home Office began attempts to remove her after she applied for a marital visa after marrying. Oh God. Konstantin.
Don't even bother.
Konstantins Vinakovs, the Latvian forklift driver who has permanent settled status. Well, at least he is.
They don't pronounce their V's that way, do they? It's probably Winakova.
No, it is V in.
Is it
in that one?
Yeah,
it's
right.
Polish where the W is a V.
Yeah. Yes, that is true.
Ask me how I know.
I know. Do you know how you say 12 months in Estonian?
Oh no.
Cocks taste good. And I'm not even joking.
Was it Ash that told you that, Harry?
Callist opposed attempts to deport her, arguing it would separate her from her husband and a breach of Article 8 of the ECHR. Well, let's leave it. That's the thing that always gets me. I saw Steve Laws post this on Twitter. It's like he posted the page of immigration policy from Reform's contracts. He's like, there's no policy here. It's all just rhetoric. And I was like, how do you see leave the ECHR and think that's not policy? Just total morons. The Home Office told.
I think it's generally the idea that people assume that if you're getting rid of something, you need to put something in its place, which isn't necessarily true.
Steve Laws doesn't think that. Steve Laws is just an idiot.
Okay.
The Home Office told her that her husband could accompany her to Grenada. That's pretty based. However, she argued that he would be unable to tolerate the cuisine in Grenada and worries about the heat, given temperatures are significantly higher than in Latvia or the UK.
I can verify the Caribbean food is generally very spicy, and that the Baltics and Slavics. doesn't have to be, but
She could just cook him up some plantain and
just plain rice.
rice or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, he is going to have to just get used to it. But like, I was just going to say that as far as I know, my in-laws and also my brief excursions with various Baltics, they don't like spicy.
You really have a
foods, or at
type.
least
Yeah, I was thinking. That,
it was only the last couple, but anyway, before that it was English.
That's
I,
good.
I just don't understand. Oh, well, I do understand, but I don't understand how we've gotten ourselves to the point where we even listen to any of this stuff.
Yeah.
My
ECHR.
dating
It's
history.
it's
Oh, the
literally
ECHR. Okay.
irrelevant. You
Mhm.
broke the law. End of discussion. That should
It's
be
like,
it.
but John, they're in love.
I
Can't you
don't
hear the
care.
music swelling in the background?
If he loves her, then he can learn to love Caribbean food.
I mean, it's a very easy thing to love. It's very tasty. It's one of the few things I miss.
There you go. So her claim was rejected at the first tier tribunal, but Castile, whatever, appealed to the upper tier, the highest immigration court. Judge Mark Blundell dismissed her appeal at a hearing in November, but she has been able to remain in the UK until she has exhausted all stages of appeal. That's pretty nuts, in my opinion, as well, but whatever.
There's like so many different layers of bureaucracy every single time that just is able to just delay everything to the heat death of the universe. And you're just like, oh, come on, just do something, please.
Tory Buttles pointed out as well, it has a name, Tony Blair. Yeah, Tony Blair is pretty much the reason all this is happening.
Yeah.
Well, why? He didn't sign us up to the ECHR. Why
he wanted to rub the right's nose in diversity. Or
but why has the ECHR become such an issue?
Because it supersedes our stuff, doesn't it?
You know, but
well, we signed up to it.
But it wasn't. It didn't. I don't recall it ever being something in the public eye until maybe the last five or so years.
I think it's just another one of those things that just like was added in the background, and then
But
people have then discovered that they can like use it to abuse to get what they want. It's
well,
like
that's the thing.
when they
It's been there
didn't,
for
it
decades.
wasn't in their interests. They just ignored it, and then now that it's something they want to do, they then will drag it out.
It might be a bit like grooming gangs as well. Nobody really talks about it until it was way too late, and that's because it wasn't reported on. Might be with the ECHR as well. Nobody looks at these deportation files until it became popular in the media, which really is a
or is
5
it
years thing.
Or is it just that it was implemented with the best of intentions, but as with all things, it's now being abused by people who are manipulating what it really meant to people sort of 50 years ago.
Tory Buttles saying that the Human Rights Act 1998 is what forces UK courts to apply the ECHR, or allows them to,
sure, because every European law has to be ratified in some way.
Yeah, so
to become
which
UK law. But
I'm guessing before that, courts didn't apply.
Good job, Rishi Sunak had that big bonfire of legislation that he promised repeatedly.
Reform are promising that now, so at least we can trust them to at least. There's more of a chance of them actually putting that bonfire to our laws, isn't it?
Good job, Liz Truss had that bomb. A good trust, Boris Johnson. Good job, Boris Johnson had that bomb. Oh no, maybe Theresa May. I don't know.
The thing is,
David Cameron. Oh no, he was.
No, he locked me.
Yeah, I think that we often also don't take into consideration just how deep the rock goes with a lot of this stuff. Like I think about the grooming gang stuff, and I think, would that have been possible? Would that have been possible to bury without the whole previous, what would you call it, institutional cover up of Gary Glitter and that kind of thing? Going back to the 80s and stuff. Though there was already a obviously not endorsing it or anything like that or making excuses, but saying that there was already a habitual cover up or an institutional deep cover up.
Sarah,
I feel like this is thing that's.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was strictly speaking. When you talk about that kind of thing, I don't know if it was specifically covered up, or if it was just assumed that the direction of travel meant that would be normalised. and therefore there's no need
maybe.
to throw a load of light on it, because actually it's going to be normal in 10 years' time. So really, they're just
Well,
ahead
kind
of
of
the
like the
trend.
Weinstein thing, where everybody kind of knew about it, but nobody really cared until it was like.
Well, look at like, you talked about Gary Glitter and presumably all the kind of BBC paedophiles,
Yeah.
and there was a big push with the paedophile information exchange network and Harriet Harman and all those other sort of liberal, well, not liberal,
Libertarian? No.
maybe liberal. I don't know. I don't want to say libertarian. I mean people that are very much in favour of.
Shit libs.
Yeah, that's a good word. I'm not going to use it because. But
poopy libs.
I think maybe they just assume that, with all the right people in the right places, things like what Gary Glitter was up to would just become the norm, and so why would you shine a light on it? It's normal to them.
I think it's also one of the things where it's something that the internet has very much changed. Whereas
I was going to say it was a pre-internet thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, Jimmy Savile, that was only sort of came out because people started talking on the internet.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of it is like when the newspaper had a far higher monopoly on what stuff it was a lot easier to like bury things that you wouldn't want the public talking about.
I think Jimmy Savile's an interesting one because obviously that was never taken to court, and I think. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I did study psychology for a bit, and I think there is an interesting. You get sort of like these cultural phenomena, which I don't know if you remember, like the kind of panic over epilepsy, and then bulimia, and now it's trans.
Sort of almost like a mass hysteria, but almost
it is, and actually it actually impacts very few people. But you get very real reports from people who believe it genuinely impacted them, and it's psychosis more than anything. I did wonder if there's an element of that when it comes to some of these cases.
I guess it's also just. Oh, sorry.
Especially when it never sees a day in court.
Yeah, I think that there's also a level of the severity to it as well, right? Like, I remember I was watching one of Asmongold's thing, and they were talking about the fentanyl overdoses, and they were saying that the actual, if the statistics are to be believed, the actual amount of fentanyl overdose cases aren't actually that, like, it's not huge. It's obviously, but it's significant enough and affects enough people that. You kind of see what I mean.
Are you talking about just deaths?
I think I'm talking not just like lives ruined, but just like deaths and overdoses, that kind of thing.
I know all the American paramedics and stuff now carry the fentanyl reverse drug like pens with them. To jab people who've overdosed on that, and that will save a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying that
that's
I'm not saying it's wrong.
They've started doing, yeah.
No, I completely think that it is a problem, and I think that Trump is right to clamp down on it. But I think that there's sort of a level of just how widespread people think it is in comparison to how often it actually happens, where it's a weird mix where obviously it's that kind of same principle that you kind of saw in COVID, where it was the idea that one death was too much, but then it's kind of on the flip side. You kind of see what I'm saying. I'm not articulating it very well.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Happens.
I was just going to say, I can't get over this paragraph. The hearing found that the Vinokovs regularly ate his wife's Caribbean chicken and concluded that he has no particular difficulty with any style of food, and there is certainly no suggestion that he has a food allergy or intolerance. The judge also...
It's like...
Go on.
It's like, how can you like marry someone and not eat the like
why would you marry someone and not ever intend to go back to their home country ever?
The Caribbean. It does sound like she's making excuses on his behalf.
Well, obviously.
Why? Why is it even a consideration of the court whether he likes the food or not?
Yeah, I mean that's also a good point.
It's irrelevant to whether she's here illegally.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
mind, I'm just playing through the scene from Life of Brian. It's like, I had a lovely supper, and all I said to my wife was that bit of halibut was good enough for Jehovah, and everyone just. But he actually just really likes his wife's food, but she's just like, no,
Oh,
Well,
and
she's obviously incentivized to say
yeah.
whatever she thinks will.
Well, yeah.
Moving on as well, it has also emerged that a Pakistani father who was jailed for child sex offences avoided deportation as it would have been unduly harsh on his own children. The man who had been
What?
granted anonymity by an immigration court was imprisoned for 18 months for trying to engage in sex with barely pubescent girls, and the sentencing judge said that there was very little prospect of his rehabilitation. However, a lower tribunal...
Why have they used the word barely pubescent?
I was thinking that's really weird.
Mm.
Like,
Well,
Do you know what? Well, I could speculate.
I assume it means like 11, 12-year-olds.
Yeah, it's a child.
Well,
Proper child.
yeah.
why do they say 11, 12-year-olds? Why don't they say 11, 12-year-olds?
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, what do you think? I assume it's to
just to obfuscate.
lower the blow. Yeah.
It's to obfuscate, but what is the diktat as to when
Clever word.
girls might be ready for
Well,
intercourse in some of these cultures?
Puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I.e., the age isn't relevant. So, or in this article, they're already, in my view, they're minimising the issue. Because instead of stating their
yeah.
age, which is what we have in this country, we have an age of consent. They're almost making a apologia for the fact that that they were pubescent.
I'm no great fan of the Times, but they are quoting the immigration court there, so I'd put the blame more on the court than.
Well, sure,
Times.
fine. I don't really.
Don't care.
Either
That's
way,
fine.
I consider them all part of the same kind of institutional.
Well, surely if you were
mosaic.
writing an article, you'd want to put in the actual like ages of it to like. Surely that would
Well, they might. Well,
even in the terms of like. Yeah.
Journalists suck and are lazy, and they probably didn't look it up. That's what I'm going with.
It
there.
does. It
Well,
does sound.
yeah.
It's interesting though, because it does sound like they are almost trying to. Yeah, like you said, they're attempting to cushion the blow, but it actually sounds worse. It's kind of one of those things that probably sounded better in their head. Like it probably sounded better to the person writing it, like in their head. But when they wrote it down, they're like, "Oh, that's not good."
It only sounds better if you don't think about it. Which someone who's
yeah.
only going to read the top of the thing and maybe skim the article, then it's not going to be a problem. But it's like,
Well,
if you actually scrutinize it for a second, you're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, finishing off this part anyway, a lower tribunal judge ruled that that his deportation back to Pakistan, separating him from his two toddlers, would breach his rights to a family life under the article.
It's disgusting, though, isn't it? Because the sentencing judge said basically, there's no way you're being rehabilitated. I.e., he's got no remorse, he's got no concept of the fact he's done anything wrong, and so we have to carry on putting up with this person in our country who is a permanent, according to the judge, risk for every prepubescent child in this country, anyone under 16, this person is a danger to, and we have to put up with him because he's managed to find someone to have sex with and have kids with.
Well,
the children can go back to Pakistan.
I was going to say, why can't the whole family? Why can't he be deported?
Families can be deported together.
Yeah,
I was about to say the absolute meme line. So good though.
Well, even
families can be deported together.
But of course, the more disgusting thing is, why the hell is he allowed to have anything to do with his children?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand as well.
Yeah, you'd be taken away by child services if this was you.
Yeah.
Like there have definitely been. I've got some family who have done stuff with like social care and.
I thought you were going to say kids then.
No, I'm basically trying to I'm trying to obfuscate it, but then sort of not to the point where it just sounds really bad. Yeah. But basically, people who have worked in social care, and I've definitely seen people being separated for their kids for less than any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just like basic abuse.
Historically, none of this would have been an issue.
Yeah, that's true. So, for those wondering why it wouldn't have been an issue, it involves a long drop with a short fall.
And a short
A
stop.
short stop.
That was
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I didn't think the article would go into this, but we're finally there. In another case, an Albanian criminal was allowed to stay in the UK after successfully arguing that his son would refuse to eat the type of chicken nuggets available in Albania. What?
Part of me actually respects the massive balls you've got to have to try and use this as an excuse. Like, my son doesn't like the chicken nuggets there.
He will not eat the Albanian chicken nuggets. He must stay here. Oh, okay. Clevish Disher, an Albanian, entered the UK illegally in 2001. He's been here for 24 years with a fake name and claimed he was born in the former Yugoslavia. Disher was granted leave to remain in September 2005. He was stripped of his British citizenship in 2021 after he was jailed for 2 years over possessing $250,000 in cash, known to be proceeds of crime. How did we get
You
citizenship?
don't get $250,000 in cash without doing a hell of a lot of crime.
Oh, I had this massive argument with Americans once where the police stopped this guy and searched his car and they found 100,000 in cash. And the
Yeah.
guy was like, "Oh, this is just my savings." And a load of American libertarians were like, "Oh, why are they taking his cash? How are they allowed
Got
to
to be
do that?"
joking.
And I was like, "You do realise that
You
they
don't get £100,000 in cash in the UK in certain
I mean,
Yeah.
well, or even in America, it's like the
Yeah, in America, you're walking around with $100,000. There's going to be
in
questions.
cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they were like, this is a known mule spot, like, and people are like, "Oh, he's just a retired veteran." And it's like, how do you know that other than the fact he said that on camera? You have no evidence for that. It's like, "Oh, respect our troops," and I'm like, but we don't even know if he was in the army.
It's the whole
Yeah.
echo chamber thing where they've convinced themselves that the government's evil,
yeah.
and so everything the
Well-
government does is evil. They can't accept there might be any context.
Yeah.
They vacantly, unquestioningly take the side of the person who is
Pure dogma.
being,
Yeah. Well,
They've seen the videos of like the FBI like stealing money from people when
Well,
they're
yeah,
like raiding their houses, and
and
they're
it
like,
does
right, that's every
happen.
police
Yeah, and it
policeman
does-
forever now.
And it does happen, but I'm like, these guys are on body camera. If they have done anything wrong, you can take them to court, and there's evidence of it. It's all over Twitter. They can't get rid of it. So I doubt that they would do stupid stuff like this on camera. I know cops have in the past, but it makes all sorts of sense to be on a road that is known for having drug mules, stopping someone for, I don't know why they stopped him over in the first place. I'm pretty sure his registration was with an unlicensed vehicle or something. So he'd already broken the law there. They then searched it, found that. And then they're like, we also know that drug mules are like nobodies. Like, they don't send gang members to be the drug mule because they'll get pulled over and arrested. It's much more low risk to pay someone like you 10 grand to bring cash back. And that's what they do. And like, I was like, yeah, this all makes sense and this all has precedent. Why are you acting like if he's innocent he won't get it back? It's like, oh, because they don't sometimes. It's like, well, then he can sue, can't he? Anyway.
no because he hasn't got any money.
Well, quite. Disher had been granted the right to remain in the UK after arguing that his son had sensory difficulties related to clothing and particularly to socks and food, while he also had issues communicating emotions.
Literally don't care.
He's probably.
I'm just hearing that and thinking my autism is chicken nuggets.
I mean, unironically, that is famous. Famous
if you-
autismo, but
In the past, if you had $250,000 in cash as the proceeds purely from crime, you'd probably get a similar treatment to the other guy.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these problems are created by the modern way of dealing with crimes.
I do enjoy how you're actually against dealing with crime in that way, John.
Hmm?
Well, you're generally against the
I
capital
am,
punishment, aren't you?
I think it's a modern. It's funny that it's a modern problem that's been created because we've decided that the people in the past got it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, as I said the other day, a big reason we stopped it is in case you get the wrong person. Well, DNA kind of ruined that argument, but nobody wants to bring it up.
Oh, for me, it's just simply: do I trust our current politicians,
Well,
our current system?
That's also true.
Even without DNA, there's plenty of times when they've been caught in the act and everything. You know 100%
Yeah,
they
sure,
did it.
sure. Yeah, sure. Anyway,
And as like
sorry, I
Joz
was.
said,
Yeah,
as
you go.
Joz said, Victorians were woke because all this, what John's talking about, started with them. Charles Dickens, that
Oh,
wanker.
I'm not
no,
having
to be
that.
fair to Victorians, they were hanging people left, right, and centre.
Yeah, but that's when it all started to stop, wasn't it? With Charles Dickens and
I'm not having that. That was the influence of Rousseau. I'm not having that. It's the French's fault yet again. I was going to say, though, with all this sensory difficulty, you want me to really annoy you? This illegal immigrant probably was getting pip from his son. Anyway, an immigration tribunal ruled it would be unduly...
Maybe that's why he had £250,000 in cash.
Maybe. An immigration tribunal... Oh, he's probably using a mobility car to do his crime as well. An immigration...
Oh no, Max Temper's just perked up.
An immigration tribunal ruled it would be unduly harsh for his 10-year-old son, known as C in the court document, to return to Albania with his father,
short for chicken nugget.
owing to food sensitivities. The only example listed in court documents was the young boy's aversion to eating the type of chicken nuggets that are available abroad. The court was told that while the young boy had no formal diagnosis, education plans were in place to support his emotional regulation, independence, reading and writing. Amazing. It's not even officially diagnosed.
Foreign
Sauce came to
chicken
me in a
nuggets.
dream.
foreign chicken nuggets surely aren't any different.
I don't know how they're different.
They actually do change from place to place, but generally speaking, a lot of these places actually have better chicken nuggets. than
Nowhere
like
does
here.
pink slime like
Like, unironically,
Britain,
the chicken nuggets or the chicken selects, at least in Poland, they tasted very different to over here, and they were really good.
Really?
But yeah,
I
at least
mean,
where I
probably
went.
because you make it out of chicken instead of like gristle and
chicken
bone and
byproduct, yeah.
connective
I-
tissue.
So apparently, Judge David
I-
Merrigan. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, I remember there's this clip of Jamie Oliver. He's with all these
I was
kids
thinking
trying to
of
tell
that.
them about, oh, aren't these chicken nuggets awful? And he gets like the chicken bones and stuff, sticks them in a blender, whisks up, then puts some breading on it, goes, oh, you don't want to eat that now, do you? And they'll go, yeah.
Yeah, they all like, no, who wants to eat that? They all put their hands up. He just looks so defeated. He's like, oh, great. It's like,
It's like people who say, "Oh, you wouldn't want to know how the sausage is made." It's like we've literally made sausages; they're delicious.
I'd be I'd be happy to slaughter a pig if it meant I ate bacon forever. Yes.
Yeah. We literally ordered a side of pig from a butcher, and we portioned it and processed it ourselves.
Nice.
And you take the bone, you make it for stock. Yeah, no, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Strongly recommend.
So Merrigan, who delivered the latest ruling on the case in the upper tier tribunal, agreed and referred the appeal back to a new judge for further review. We can only see in the decision a single example of why C should not go to Albania. We are not persuaded that the addition of this sole example approaches anywhere near the level of harshness for a reasonable judge to find it's unduly so. So it's being appealed by the Home Office. Because it's ridiculous.
I mean, Keir Starmer's kind of at the point that he has to at least try with stuff like this, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Because otherwise,
yeah,
he's,
yeah.
it already looks bad enough for him.
20 years
Can
ago,
I
he would have
just
been supporting the kid. Anyway, carry on.
Can I just upset you? Can I upset you all just a moment?
Go on.
We all agree that this is completely like abhorrently retarded, right?
Well, yeah. What we're talking
Now,
about.
how much do you think that this is all costing on the bureaucratic side?
Oh, millions.
From the
Millions, yeah.
judges, the Home Office, the various government departments that are all working through this on the regard of the chicken
like
nuggets.
2 days of NHS spending, maybe.
To-
That's my estimate.
I feel like it's almost like was it an impact multiplier or whatever they call it, or a gain multiplier or whatever.
It's just
Where the level of stupidity compounded by the fact that it's just so incredibly expensive.
But all of them know it's a bit like the is it the Prisoner's Gambit or whatever it is, where basically all of them know that kind of the best thing to do is
Just stretch it
just
out.
go through the courts, because if all of you do it, then the courts are going to be so rammed with cases that it's going to take them decades to deal with yours. And by that time, different government, different this, different that. Who knows?
And change your name again.
Yeah, they're all incentivized to appeal as much as possible, because it just makes the whole system grind to a halt.
There you go. Right. Labour WhatsApp group, second MP Oliver Ryan suspended over messages.
This is happening to them as well.
I mean, I've seen some of the messages, and I'm kind of like, wow, I'm never getting into politics. I've said way worse stuff on WhatsApp.
This is why I was just saying it was interesting from the historical perspective, not saying that we should return to the death penalty in the present day for non-violent crimes, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Labour has been forced to
I
suspend...
was just making a historical comparison.
You were, yeah.
I, on the other hand, no, don't worry.
Well, I'm going to have to delete so much stuff from the internet if I ever get into office. Labour
just say disavow. He strong-armed... I strong-armed you into having me on, and
there you go.
there you go.
Yeah. Labour has been forced to suspend a second MP after he was accused of making cruel and homophobic remarks on WhatsApp group. His beliefs
Have you got the? I think it's Zia Yusuf. Have you got the pictures of the tweets where this chap is I think it's this guy is saying to Zia Yusuf, your party's full of xenophobic, racist, or bigots or whatever, and Zia Yusuf just claps back with a picture of this article basically.
Wasn't it Rupert Lowe?
Was it Rupert? I don't know. I thought it was
Yeah, I think it was Rupert Lowe, actually, yeah. It was like, he remembered, and then gotcha.
You gotta love Rupert.
Well, you love to see it.
Trying to look through his Twitter, but he tweets like a madman, Rupert, so can't quite find it, but yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, I've just found it.
Just while he's looking, everybody in the chat, make sure to like the stream.
So yeah, Rupert Lowe don't want gay flags everywhere. Reform bigoted. I'm still shocked, I tell you. Oliver Hun, yes you are. He said, oh sorry, he finishes off with not going anywhere. Yes you are. Suspended as Labour. Oh, he's so funny. So yeah, Oliver Ryan, the MP for Burnley, was summoned by the Chief Whip and told he would sit as an independent in Parliament, joining his colleague Andrew Gwynn, who posted anti-Semitic and sexist remarks pending an investigation. The pair were revealed to be members of a WhatsApp group named Trigger Me Timbers, comprised of councillors and local politicians in Greater Manchester. Yeah, Manchester Labour Party actually seemed quite funny from what I've seen.
Where do I start with this? Yeah, just
Trigger Me Timbers.
I'd join that group.
It's like you know the point of personal privilege, the Labour things.
Yeah.
You could just imagine just these guys all at the back just sniggering away, just this is like, because when you're watching it and you think to yourself, they must know that it sounds awful. It's so stupid. They must know. Well, apparently, yes, some of them do know. So some of them are self-aware enough.
Well, all the typical politician reaction to all this, so we're not going to bother with that. In two of the private WhatsApp chats as seen by the Mail, Ryan takes part in apparently homophobic banter as members joke about another MP being gay. Ryan also made cruel remarks about Colin Bailey, the local Labour leader and long-serving lollipop man in Greater Manchester. Ryan, who is gay, made inappropriate comments in lewd terms about a Labour MP whose name has not been published. Come on, give us details. According to the Mail, when discussing the Labour MP and others in the group, Ryan referred to him as the straight choice.
Okay. Wait. So the MP that's been kicked out is gay, and he's
I thought he had
making gay jokes.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Oh, dude, it's
that
so
mean
confusing.
You can't use the N-word.
N-word passes revoked for so many people.
I should imagine. Imagine going to. Imagine going to prison.
Yeah.
Stormzy's MP career in tatters.
Oh, according to reports, how do you say that word? Gwyn? Is it Gwyn?
Gwyn.
Yeah. Gwyn.
A
Right.
Welsh name. I was going to say.
Gwyn joked that he had hoped a 72-year-old woman who would complain about her bins will be dead by the next local elections.
Why are you laughing? That's cruel.
Yeah, but it's just
It's
funny.
That's horrible. That's
That's
disgraceful.
dis-
Disavow.
Among other messages,
Right, is she gone? Is she? Oh, okay, wait.
among other
Okay.
messages is one from Gwyn saying someone sounds too Jewish and too militaristic, apparently from their name alone.
I mean, that's the requirements to be in Labour, right?
I mean, unironically, like, yeah.
I wish she came back going, as a gay man, I have an F slur pass.
I
It still
take
doesn't
it
specify.
doesn't say their name. Yeah. Yeah, no.
No, the article is literally gay guy says a thing, and it's very hurtful.
Mm.
That's all. That's all it's saying.
Yeah. So, oh, I've just lost it. Sounds too Jewish. Greater Manchester Police have recorded it as a non-crime hate incident following what they said were a small number of complaints about the message. The force added, we're in contract with our parliamentary liaison as part of our initial inquiry. It's just nuts, isn't it? Why is he... it's as we say, these are in private WhatsApp groups. Like, he's treating it like the pub, but this is the problem. We're probably going to have to get to a point where you're going to have to just start automatically deleting things after like a week or something, because you can't trust people, clearly.
Like Snapchat for everything.
Yeah.
You shouldn't put anything in writing or record anything that you're not willing to have held up to you in 10 years' time.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's probably a lesson too late for a lot of people.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem is, I think he's probably, broadly speaking, our generation, and I'm saying our generation to mean anything between the age of about 25 and 45.
Yeah.
This is the group of people who have been exposed to the internet, but not exposed to the consequences of the internet until it was too late.
Yeah. Well, someone made the point that literally nobody born after 1996 is going to have any chance of being in public office because there's going to be way too much that they've already put on the internet that they can't get away from it. It's going to be impossible.
This is one of the reasons why, as a millennial, I made sure that my son has no social media profile. That's something for him to choose when he's an adult.
Yeah.
That's not something that necessarily we enjoyed, you know.
Well,
our parents were on Facebook, our parents were inviting us on Facebook, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, my sister made my Facebook account, but I never really made it. I never really used it till I was like 17, you know, when I was in sixth form and then uni. That's when I mainly started using it. I didn't have Twitter really till I was like 20.
That's where it started going downhill.
Oh, clearly. And then, well, obviously I've got the YouTube account, but I don't think it's easy to find comments that people have made on YouTube. Yeah. Either way, but since making this channel, there's a reason all the Laughing at the Guardian's behind a paywall.
You shouldn't say that.
Why?
Well, because you're basically telling everyone that if they want to go and dig up a load of dirt on you, all they have to do is pay you a few quid.
From what I've seen, a lot of the ones with like digging up dirt, you don't like trawl through streams. It's very much like control effing things that they've said on Twitter far more than anything else. Like if you're like deep in some hidden live stream, especially it's not even like
you say that, but I think I can't remember the name of the guy it was. There was a guy that was exposed. They linked his voice to his voice from streams. Yeah. They linked it to other stuff he was doing. Was he like some sports commentator or something?
I can't remember, but yeah, he used a voice changer and they managed to modulate his voice to match it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not like the Carl Benjamin, his streaming guffs. Because the thing is that they were so famous, they were clipped and put all over Twitter. I'm quite lucky in that I'm small enough where the only thing people have clipped of me from Laughing at the Guardians and me saying my penis is small.
And you're really not as bad as you're making out as well.
Not now.
Yeah.
I've said slurs that I probably would never say on the internet again in the past. But again,
I still say that rare. From everything that I've seen, even though I'm relatively new to the channel, you're still pretty mild.
Well, no,
very mild.
I know I am. The thing is that I know if I was ever going to, properly go into politics, and if I wanted to play it safe, I'd probably just private everything from like 2022 and before that, because I started to go quite. I didn't swear in any of my. I just completely stopped swearing in my videos about 2 years ago now, probably 3. But then
I don't think they care about swearing.
No, I know, but I'm saying that's also the time when in streams I would try not to say the awful words or be too spicy, probably like I used to be. But no, I am very much. Yeah, I should be fine. I think as stories like this keep going out, and especially when reform get in, I think there'll just be a zeitgeist shift where people will care
Stop
less.
caring. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is this the big balls thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it's. I
The
feel
shift has
yeah.
already happened in the US. It's like, oh, but he
Yeah.
said these awful things about women. It's just like, yeah, we don't care.
I mean, Trump's in Trump's in the
I'm
White
gonna
House.
tap out.
You have to tap out.
Yeah,
Well, at least we talked about the chicken nuggets.
yeah. That was why I wanted to come on.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you for coming on. We'll. Oh wow, it's nearly 10:30. We'll
Yeah.
probably speed run these last few ones, and we don't want to
Yeah.
go
Alright.
too far beyond 11. But thanks for coming on,
See you all later.
and I'll see you
Bye.
later.
See ya.
Good to see you, John.
Oh, I should have asked it. Wait, are you still here?
No, he's
What?
gone.
Oh, he's gone. Oh well. Oh well. In that case, I'll have to ask other people for laughing at the Guardian. But oh well.
Yeah.
I'll wait till the
I
end.
think
though.
the last thing I wanted to say is that I think that also the purity spiraling is definitely going to be far worse for like Labour type sites than
Yeah,
it would be for.
I was going to say
So
that.
it has been happening on the right, and I haven't, we briefly mentioned Raise the Fist
yeah.
before the stream. Like, it's weird because you almost would
For a very,
expect it.
very different reason, I would say. But
Yeah,
fair enough. There's no point staying on this any longer.
yeah. Fair.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably largely be safe, but it's one of those things of I've not been vetted by reform yet because I'm juggling whether to effectively say that this is a personal account or a professional account because you don't need to show them professional accounts.
Really?
Well, it
I
specifically
would have
says.
thought it'd be the other way around.
Well, it specifically says, "Do you have any personal accounts? Like, please link them." I believe that's what other people in reform have told me it says. But I'm putting off doing that for a few years. I think
You are
Or it's not
monetized.
the other way around.
You could argue that this is a professional one.
I am monetized. That is true. It still blows my mind that Doctor Who made me transphobic stream still monetized. It blows my mind. That's
That will get you a promotion in reform. Don't worry.
well, quite. Right. Firms cut jobs and recruitment before Labour tax rise. Business cut jobs or slowed recruitment last month to levels not seen in over a decade, while demand for new workers receded to its lowest since the pandemic, laying bare the hit to the labour market from tax rises in the autumn budget. Really don't need to go into more detail on that.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
The thing that we said would happen happened.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Well, it's the thing that I did that Gary's Economics and Jimmy the Giant video today. Like, they're both idiots. They're both just complete morons. They're like, oh, the real worry is that BlackRock's buying up houses, and I'm like, is that actually happening in the UK? Does anyone
Probably.
know? Like, well, this is the thing. It's probably.
I know
happening.
it's definitely happening in the US.
I know it's
so
happening in the
probably happening
US.
here.
We
probably
have our
happening
own. I mean, we have the equivalent issues over here. It might not necessarily be BlackRock per se.
from what
for example, I was going to say, for example, in university towns, a lot of the property is usually owned in some way by one of the colleges.
Yeah, sure. Well, from what I understand, when any of these big equity firms buy property, they're either buying commercial property for sky-high rents for commercial businesses, which makes sense anyway. You know, no private individual cares about that. Or if they're buying residential property, it's to knock down a house to build flats in, like student accommodation, like we said, which actually helps ease the housing crisis anyway, so it isn't helping their point.
In the US, there was a
kind of.
lot of just buying properties, and making them all
And
rentals.
offering like a third more of the market price or something.
I do mention that in the video, but it's not really happening here, and we're specifically talking about the UK. Now, it could happen here, maybe, but
Yeah, if you follow trends, yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard, like, I don't think anyone's heard of an anecdote of, oh, you know, my cousin or whatever sold his house to BlackRock or some big firm.
The thing is, a lot of the rental properties if I remember correctly, do get like bought up. I think by like pension companies and insurance firms. I think they actually
Right.
do, because it's one of the ways to essentially hedge against I can't even remember the details off the top of it, but I did hear that it does happen. It does happen. I don't know if it's to the same scale as BlackRock or whatever in the US, but it definitely is happening.
Well, from my perspective, if they're doing what BlackRock are doing in America and they're upping the rent price by a third or whatever, like that's obviously bad. But that would be everywhere in the news if it was happening.
Another rent. They offer over the market rate. So for I think residentials, I think, or something like that. I can't remember the details.
Yeah.
Well, either way, like if that was happening here, it would be all over front page news. Like big corporations selling houses above market rate. It'd be everywhere.
I don't know.
We're a socialist country, Tharium.
Yeah, but you know,
put it everywhere.
you know,
Exactly.
but like the media, the media and the government will be making money off it too. They'll, these companies know to
possibly.
These companies know to pay them off, and so then
Well, okay. Well, I suppose, say this is all happening.
Tory rebuttal is correct. Sorry, just really quickly. Lloyd's actually did buy a load of the way that they do it, from what I know, is that they buy off like mortgages. So if you had like your mortgage with like Sainsbury's Bank or something, then they'll just buy Sainsbury's Bank, and by extension, then they'll now own all of those mortgages.
But you'd still be paying that mortgage off, so it's your house, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, but I'm just giving as an example. That there are.
That's not what BlackRock's doing, though, is it?
No. I was giving an example of the fact that. Oh, sorry, I've lost my train of thought for a moment there. But I was given an example regarding basically the buying of assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it's like if there's any sort of defaulting, then those properties still do technically belong to Lloyd's until you've paid off your mortgage.
I mean, that's just how mortgages work. I don't think anyone's bothered by that. BlackRock's literally buying the property to jack up prices, as they say, which it shouldn't be happening. But if Lloyd's Bank are doing it on a smaller scale, that's bad. As I say, it's not exactly. I don't think it's the way to win over people to the left, though, which was the point I was making, because nobody seems to care.
Okay.
And, if it is happening, it's bad. And if it is happening, the right wing don't like it either. So it's not something that you can win on. What they ended up saying is that the Jordan Peterson, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work harder. They kept trying to say that, that can work on an individual level, but it only helps you slightly. Both these people, right, have successful YouTube channels and are able to afford houses by working hard on it. I just found it nuts that they're saying you can only slightly improve your chance in life if you work harder. Gary's economics worked for a Citibank as a trader, making millions, and now he's trying to say, working harder really doesn't help you out that much in life. It's like, go away, mentalist. Anyway, you can listen to me whinge about that for an hour on my channel. I can't remember why I moved on to that. Jobs and all that. Yeah. I mean, the left wing have absolutely no answer. The left wing supported all this, as far as I care. So, how are you supposed to win if you're supporting this stupid stuff?
The left wing doesn't understand economics. More news at 10.
Well, quite.
Yeah, but there's like you say about winning, but there's also the part of them that just wants to hurt normal people.
Well, yeah,
because they hate us.
Yeah, but they can only do that by winning. Usually.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to those levels of like monopolies, are just not really going to be able to like hold through, and it would crumble at some point.
Yeah,
well, there you go. Tulips.
So get the pain in while they still can.
Yeah.
Well, Tulip Sadiq money laundering inquiry widened to 12 countries. Bangladeshi authorities are examining claims of misappropriating billions by Labour MP and members of her family. She was the anti-corruption minister, by the way.
Yeah.
And they've had to kick her out.
Billions. Look at that.
Yeah.
Billions, not millions, billions.
Yeah. Bangladeshi authorities and members of her investigating Tulip and her family over alleged money laundering have been broadened their inquiry to a dozen countries, local officials say. Investigators from the Anti-Corruption Commission are examining claims that Sheikh Hasina, the country's deposed prime minister, and her family misappropriated billions of pounds, and some of the money was used to buy property overseas. Sadiq, a Labour MP since 2015, is Hasina's niece. Well, there you go. So, yeah, we're not going to go into detail of it, but anti-corruption minister picked by Labour turns out to be massive corrupt. Bangladeshi.
This government really couldn't get any better for me.
Literally from a crime family.
Yeah.
It could. I would slightly prefer if it wasn't like my government, but you know, for just entertainment, it is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how
you can't make up this stuff.
I don't know how they've managed to make it worse and worse and worse, but there we go.
The thing is, I've literally had conversations with people, so Romanians that I know, and they will say to me, you know, you don't understand. When we say corruption, we're talking about just a whole different level of corruption, not like here in the UK. And now I can go over to them and be like, no. I know exactly what you mean.
Sorry, Tory Buttles just sent a link in the other side of the hill in the Discord, and Lloyds Bank is planning to become one of the UK's biggest landlords as it aims to buy 50,000 homes, this back from 2021 by the way, and then charge tenants rent as private landlord under its recently launched Citra Living brand. Which I'm kind of like, is that a massive issue to me? I don't really know.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. You're driving up housing prices.
Are you?
And then they're also going to benefit from that because they're also providing mortgages.
How's that any different to private landlords?
Well, no, you see, unlike you, when you're trying to buy a house, like if it's a massive bank, they don't care if they're going to drop an extra 200,000 on the property. That doesn't matter to them. So they can just the funds they have to play with will drive it up.
You sound like Gary Hayes economics. I don't like that.
Well, also the like all of us want to be house owners, not renters. So if you're just taking houses
you will own
them
nothing and be happy type thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the way you solve that is by voting one, but
yeah,
no,
the absolute
Harry, take the word. Come on.
Oh no. The absolute worst thing that the government could do to actually enforce the Lloyds Bank growing situation is to have rent control, because only Lloyds Bank will be able to afford the forced lower rent.
But the thing is also, if you think about it, that this could be an absolute terrible cycle where the government then needs places to put people, and then Lloyds supply the places, then they charge exorbitant rents to
they
the
will,
government.
won't they? They've already started asking for like private homes to stick people in.
It just came to me. This is going to be like the most like incestuous cycle.
Yeah. A Serco going to Lloyds Bank instead.
I think I need to think about this a bit more. Instinctively, I don't think there's much wrong with.
Instinctively you're a retard though. So.
Corporate landlords, but I mean, this is a question as well.
It would be fine without ridiculous government policy. That's the.
This wouldn't be possible if we didn't have ridiculous government policy. This wouldn't even be possible. So that's probably why I'm instinctively thinking. That's the thing. This is actually a third order issue.
Yeah.
So that's probably where I'm coming from. Yeah. As John says before, this wouldn't be a problem if we didn't have a stupid government. Anyway, oversubscribed state schools
have big variable.
Have no room for private pupils. At least 27 local authorities are full in certain age cohorts, raising fears that schools would struggle to cope with an influx after Labour's VAT raid. Another point about the VAT raid that everyone was talking about, but Labour were being idiots about.
I think it's just. I don't know if it's idiots or just, again, like I said, they're just pure hatred and malice.
Well,
people.
It is. I'm still trying to convince my brother it's that second one, and I'm still waiting to know when I can have him on. State schools have no spare space in some year groups among dozens of councils, prompting fears they would struggle to cope with increased demand due to Labour's tax raid.
Did your brother also go to private school?
No, he didn't.
Oh, you're the favourite child, aren't you?
Well, no, me and my sister went private.
Is your sister?
Is that why your brother's?
Well, I don't. Well,
He's still. It's the envy. It's the envy that's been
it
building
must
up
be.
in him.
It must be. My brother was offered to go to private school, but my brother and sister went to different schools from years 3 to 6 because my brother went to an all boys school. So my brother wanted to stay on at the all boys rather than go to the private one. But see, my sister couldn't go to that all boys school, so she went to the private one. As did I.
She could these days.
Oh, she could these days. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
born 10 years too late, clearly. So the range from predominantly rural areas such as South Gloucestershire and Rutland to urban ones including Bristol, Hull and Coventry. Across England, year 7 and 8 has the lowest spare capacity, meaning the strain on state schools from any influx in pupil numbers is likely to hit secondary education hardest. There are 87 areas which declared they had at least one year group with fewer than 100 spare places across the whole council. Experts said that findings revealed there was a little slack in parts of the state school system which Labour has said should absorb the impact of this tax increase on private schools. And again, that's going to cost the Labour government money as well. What was it?
Once again, I don't think it's for raising tax. It's for destroying the private schools. That's
yes. That is the revealed preference here because they're not doing anything to stop this, are they? So it must be because they just hate private schools, which they've been saying they hate for ages.
yeah.
At the start of the year, the VAT break for independent schools ended, leading to many to put up their cost by 20%. Business rates relief for private schools is also due to finish from April. It wasn't just that. Also, Eton found that now because they're being treated as businesses, they can actually get tax relief on an awful lot of things. So
the really smart, the really fancy private schools are actually going to make money.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if they'll quite make money, but it will entrench them even further. There'll be less competition from other private schools that can't do that anyway. Yeah.
Don't miss that quote. Come on.
The what?
I'm no Marxist. I just want better schools.
Wait, does it say that in the article?
Yeah, there's a quote. Just a little.
Why is my control F not going? Oh right, Bridget Phillipson. I'm no Marxist. I just want better schools. I'm an idiot. Why did she say that? Oh, she said that this week. Oh my god. 600 failing schools in England will get help, but will her reform level the playing field or create new divides?
Is she about to get yeeted for not being a Marxist?
I just want better schools, so I'm destroying the better schools that you have to pay for. Yeah.
That are helping to subsidise the state schools.
Yeah.
Realised, wait, just to reinforce the point of the fact that these are just spiteful people. Surely, if you've got a set of schools that are just flat out just doing better, is there anything stopping you just asking them what they're doing differently and just applying it?
Well, you won't get an answer. Would probably be my. I don't know.
I mean, you could just look at them and be like, "Excuse me, we want to improve our schools. What are you doing differently?" Okay, we will apply.
There is that Michaela school who get good test results, but we think is just horrific place.
It's worse than a Soviet school system. The way the pupils are treated, it's nuts. I don't know why so many. I know why so many right wingers like it. It's because it's a Suella Braverman project. She has a bit of a clique, so that'll be why it's so popular. But yeah,
I think it's just people who haven't looked into it and think, oh yes, authority.
They just think strict head teacher, good test results, and it's fair enough. That sounds good to me. But then it's like, they only serve vegetarian meals, so that everyone has to eat the same thing. Is this weird?
Chairman Mao would approve of this.
Yeah, like as I say, not even the Soviets were this nuts, and it's like, oh, this is great. Like, look at all this freedom. It's like, and because there was that whole thing about the Muslim girl being forced to pray, and it's like, they don't let any of them pray, and it's kind of like, wasn't the whole point of diversity that we celebrate each other's differences? But you're literally making everyone into kind of a grey blob.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a surprise!
It's so soulless.
It's so straight, and it's like you're not even allowed to do like Christian prayers either, even though by law you're supposed to start every school day with a Christian assembly or prayer or something. That's just not enforced though. So Michaela School will be fine if it was
after church on a
British.
Sunday.
Well, yeah. But yeah, Michaela School would be absolutely fine if they were British rather than this weird Ingsoc school.
Yeah, and it's that new British that they push. It's like British values are democracy and tolerance and all that crap.
I can't remember. Catherine Burblesing, that was it. She's going a bit mad recently because she's not getting the funding she used to because obviously it was the Suella Braverman project. I reckon there was some government shindig going on to help it get funded, and I think it's losing funding now.
I was going to say, I imagine it did swing both ways in regards to corruption with this stuff.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
don't know, would you even class as corruption or just lobby? Is lobbying corrupt?
it was
don't know.
probably lobbying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're speedrunning this. So dropping judge will make assisted dying more robust, insists Backer. The assisted dying bill will remove the requirement from a senior judge to decide whether people should be allowed to end their own life amid concerns about the impact of Britain's struggling court system. Under the initial plan, a High Court judge would have investigated each case and ruled that a person was eligible and had not been coerced into making the decision to die. But the amendment to the bill, proposed by Kim Leadbeater, the Labour MP behind the bill, this would be replaced with a panel of experts, which could include social workers, psychiatrists, who would oversee applications.
I just don't like that wording of, oh, you have permission to end yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what?
If I
want to end myself, I'm going to damn well do it myself. I'm not going to ask for permission.
I mean, I think the funny thing, well, the whole point is that it's for people who can't end their own life. Well,
that's how it always starts.
It's the panel of experts. That's the
yeah. Could you imagine anyone trying to make an appeal on that? I mean, we took away the death penalty because people, we could get the perpetrator wrong. We're totally fine with this. No worries about that. It'd be totally fine. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, yeah. The assisted dying bill's being bastardised as time goes on. I still remember when that Tory MP started talking about suicide in the House of Commons, and a Labour MP was like, "Point of order, that's like too emotional a word," and he just replied, "Well, it's amending the suicide bill." Or the Suicide Act. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it. Labour shelves plans to make gender change easier. Yay.
Mothballed.
Yeah, they've mothballed the plans. The Times has learned in a step to counter Reform UK's surge in the polls. Oh, they said it. Reform surge.
Of course, this comes with Trump banning pronouns and all the trannies.
Oh, yeah. Well, AOC took out her pronouns from her bio, didn't she? Yeah.
Well, her district voted Trump.
Did it?
Yeah.
No way.
You see, her district are it's the anti-establishment point for her district. Yeah. That's why they voted for her, because they didn't view her as part of the swamp in the same way they voted for Trump.
I don't know if it was a full flip, but there was I think it's Christian Heinz been like going through and like looking at it's like a donuts being formed in American cities, where like the really deep blue cities, the like super in bit are like actually flipping hard red again. So you have like a kind of the circle around the like suburbs when it's like.
Yeah. So
I think that a lot of people mistake that the swing for Trump was not actually a swing rightwards. It was an anti-establishment swing, which is why a lot of people actually group Trump and AOC and with actually the same, like, viewed the same principally, even though they're actually very different. It's basically just that people are sick of politicians. They're sick of like the swamp, quote unquote.
Yeah, it is as much of an anti-democrat than it is any pro-Trump as well. So we've been following these people for so long, and they've made everything worse.
I have a friend who's pretty hard communist, and he's never liked AOC, and he always calls her always on camera, which I think is a pretty good name. That I'm surprised I haven't heard before, actually. But
Occasional Cortex is my favourite one.
During the election last summer, Labour promised to change the undignified process of gender transition by replacing the panel of doctors with lawyers, which approved gender recognition certificates with a registrar system. It's been criticised by campaigners as self-ID by the back door, but obviously it's gone because Reform UK are surging in the polls. Yay. woman.
I love the fact that they are literally just admitting to the fact that they are. It's just like, oh yeah. We are just catering to. Can't remember what the other word is, but it's just like, yeah. No, we don't actually want to scrap this, but we're just worried about these people. Just out and out, just say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, woman stuck for 18 months on an NHS ward, evicted from her hospital bed. Wow. So, I feel very angry, upset, worthless, like my mental health and my life just don't matter, says Jessie, propped up in the hospital bed. She was recording this in a video diary. Blue NHS curtains are drawn around the bed and all her possessions are stacked up in tiny chaotic space this creates. Among the piles of boxes and bags sit dolls she holds to keep calm. 35-year-old Jessie spent 550 days in Northampton General Hospital for nearly all that time. She was medically fit to leave, but finding her a suitable place to go was difficult.
What do you?
Difficult, but
what
so
does that
just
mean?
don't bother then. I guess that's
just
it's too hard. So no.
How she ended up in hospital with all her stuff is what I want to know.
She
Well,
came in
probably
for
got
like
carted over.
cellulitis or something really minor.
To be fair, cellulitis can not be minor.
Well,
my dad had it
all
once
I'm
and
saying-
he was out for a month. Yeah. I don't really get how this has ended up happening, but, well, I guess we'll find out. So the BBC followed her story for more than 5 months as the NHS Trust took costly High Court action against her. Have her evicted from the hospital bed she was occupying. She was eventually arrested and taken to a care home where she says she felt anxious.
That's nice.
Oh,
Can I?
she felt
Can I get?
anxious. Oh no.
I mean, I get like existential dread when I get out of bed every morning, like literally every morning. Can I get a free house or free accommodation?
Apparently.
Unironically.
So yeah, you're right. So she arrived in April 2023 needing treatment for cellulitis, a bacterial infection affecting the skin which can be serious. I mean, when my dad had it, his leg literally looked like a burnt pork joint. It can be bad. She used a wheelchair and needs help with all her personal care. She had also been diagnosed with an emotionally unstable personality disorder. My dad didn't have that though, so that's probably why he went home. Jessie likes games, art and crafts, and trips to the garden centre. Okay, so does my
someone who needs-
girlfriend.
I
think-
say sounds like my wife.
Yeah.
I think this is someone who needs an asylum, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. She also finds
You
like
just take them to the garden centre and leave them there. You go, well done.
but I'm sorry, the way the BBC put it, it's like she also finds life difficult and to be challenging to those trying to help her. Yeah, that's everyone. When stressed, she self-harms and can threaten to harm others. Okay, that's a bit out there.
Asylum.
Yeah, well, she's in a care home now. So
Mhm.
by the end of April,
padded room time.
yeah, by the end of April, she was ready to be discharged from the hospital. But was told she could not return to the nursing home where she had lived for 9 years because it could no longer meet her needs. Right.
Right, how old was she? Was like
35.
35 and a nut.
Who's
What
paying
is-
for her to be there?
I mean,
The state. Everyone.
Listen. We're saying she should be in an
Oh.
asylum, which we absolutely would be paying taxes for, which I'm fine with.
It's
if
more that
asylums
I'm just salty about the fact that we might,
what?
for various reasons, we've recently been looking into the price of care homes, and it's an extortionate amount of money per person.
Oh right, yeah. Well, I imagine it was
I'm a little bit salty about it.
No, I can imagine. Jessie, who is unable to work and reliant on benefits, became increasingly isolated, stuck in her hospital cubicle on the 6-bedded ward. She says her mental health deteriorated further. People would stare at her, and she felt safer with the curtains drawn.
Well, maybe if you went in a hospital bed and went into a smaller place, then you wouldn't have this problem.
What was she doing for 18 months in a hospital bed? Because if she moves, surely they would have just moved everything. You know?
Yeah,
Is
I'm
she
guessing
getting like
she
fed
didn't.
while she's there?
Yeah, it's a bit of
Like-
a weird one.
This is
Did she-
just like lost in the bureaucracy again, as always, just complete mess.
From documents we have seen and from what Jessie and her mother Hilda have told us, it was about a year before she was offered an alternative place by the local council. Where's Hilda? Why couldn't she go to Hilda's place? I take it it's her mental health issues that say she can't live with her mother if she's dangerous.
Yeah, Hilda.
maybe.
Yeah,
I
Hilda
don't
will
know.
probably say, I can't look after her, so the state has to
Maybe.
do it.
Yeah, maybe. Sarah Scobie, Deputy Director of Research at the Nuffield Trust think tank, says patients stuck in hospitals for 3 weeks or more, like Jessie, tend to need a lot of support, and the number of these cases is increasing. With councils who pay for most social care financially squeezed and overstretched, many care homes and home care providers are only given short-term funding. It's difficult for them to establish services, recruit staff, train staff, invest in services, if they don't know whether that funding is going to continue, she adds. I don't know. Am I the only one skeptical about all this?
It does sound very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skeptical
Well-
in what way?
In the way
It
of
feels like there are details missing from this.
I feel like I basically feel like Jessie probably could be in normal society and could get a job, and I think
Yeah.
there's been incentives put in place that have effectively
Mhm.
said, I'm in this hospital bed for 18 months,
Yeah.
or I'm going to a better home for free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of learned helplessness that has.
yeah, that's a good way
Just-
to put it. Yeah, that's just been put on Jessie, unfortunately, and Hilda's probably not helped from the sounds of it.
I mean,
in
we
a strange. Sorry, please.
do we think she's like actually a bit like medically retarded? She probably is, right?
Oh, I don't.
But there's still jobs that these people can do.
So,
Well,
Hang
minimum
on.
wage once again.
So, in Jessie's case, legal documents say the council investigated nearly 120 care places, only one was offered to her. This was
Yep.
supported living flat in the nearby town with 2 care staff initially present 24 hours a day. But the town had upsetting memories for Jessie. She finds it too difficult to talk about, and other than to say bad things happened. Again, as I say, incentives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She told us she was desperate to leave hospital, but the thought of going there
Not
made her
that
feel
desperate.
suicidal. Well, apparently made her suicidal. So she.
Well, she was suicidal in the hospital as well, so that doesn't really change
It's-
anything.
yeah. So she refused the one place offered.
Okay, that is like, I feel like like there should be some sort of rules about if you're turning down this free state aid, then you just get none.
Yeah.
You know, beggars can't be
Yeah.
choosers with this stuff.
But like also the bureaucracy involved. For like, well, we've looked at 120 and we haven't even mentioned all but one of them. Like, okay,
Like I was saying with the chicken nuggets case, this has cost millions.
yeah,
Mm.
So
And this is the thing, right? You look at the NHS is already a meat grinder enough as it is for like healthcare staff, and you sort of exacerbate it with this stuff. And the worst is that I don't know if part of the tragedy is that there are going to be lots of people who genuinely want to help her, and it's going to just be a thankless task. You know, it's going to be a thankless task. I don't know. Maybe I'm just bitter. Though, I don't know, on the scale of this person taking up NHS resources and let's say a boat person taking up NHS resources, I'm not sure like where that lies in my mind scale wise. I guess this person at least is in the country legally, so
I mean, I was just quickly reading all that High Court case. So the NHS took her to the High Court because they needed the bed back, obviously. But so Jessie did not understand what was happening, and neither did her mother. They could not find a solicitor and had no advocate. So the first 2 hearings went ahead without anyone representing Jessie's view. I mean, in my experience, solicitors are not that difficult to find. And it's like
they'll take your money happily.
I'm not being funny. How do you not understand a court case is going ahead to get you kicked out of this bed?
Yeah, pretty simple.
Can you get learned helplessness to this point? I don't know. The NHS Trust argued a patient didn't have the right to choose their placement, and that hospital beds took up significant resources. Had taken into account Jessie's vulnerabilities throughout the package of care offered by the council was significant, with staff present 24 hours a day to keep her safe. A care plan which detailed the support Jessie needed was only given to the court at the final hearing. The date suggests the assessment was completed the day before. It also notes that Jessie is unable to communicate effectively. At the final High Court hearing on 4 October, Jessie attended remotely from her hospital, and within minutes she was overwhelmed and had to leave, and her mother struggled to speak for her. I mean, assuming this is all true, and that she really is this incapable, I'm very surprised that they didn't find something for her.
Well, they did.
Well,
she said no.
did, but she said no because it was in the wrong
she refused
town.
it.
Yeah, I agree with the NHS in this. She doesn't have the right to say no.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say is, in the most recent data from 2020 to 2021, it suggests the standard NHS hospital bed costs £345 per day, which, adjusting for inflation, means that Jessie's hospital stay would have cost more than £200,000, and we don't know how much the legal action cost. It's a big cost for the NHS.
But then at the same time as well, is that she's going to move to assisted living anyway. So once again, you're still like, it's what's it called? It doesn't matter what side. It's costing money every like.
Yeah. And then she was arrested by the police, put in the police station before being moved to the flat in the town that she had bad memories of.
I bet that helped.
Yeah.
Get you arrested.
Police investigating her for a number of alleged incidents, she told us, including sending offensive emails shortly before she was evicted in October. Since moving, Jessie says she has self-harmed, and the police have been called on 3 occasions, once by Jessie and twice by staff. They don't know what to do with me, she said. Jessie has recently been visited by a new advocate.
Hopeless person.
Just asylum then. Like, reopen the asylums. I'm fine with that. Maybe Enoch Powell wasn't right on that point. just a mental case. Anyway, we'll end up on a meme. I have no apologies here, Tory rebuttal. Tory HQ has cut staffing by 3/4 since election loss.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll say it as well, but they're also thinking of having to move HQ because it's too expensive and they don't have the money for it. Because obviously everyone's moving over to Reform, because Reform don't look like idiots.
It's been warned that they should give more money.
Yeah,
I love that local Tory associations have been told they should give the central operation more cash as it has become more left-wing than Jeremy Corbyn.
Comments made by Scott Pattenden, the chair of the London Conservatives and former parliamentary candidate, which were revealed in leak audio obtained by The Times, which fuels fears that Badenoch marks 100 days as leader on Monday. The Tories need to raise millions to stay afloat. Pattenden told the gathering of members earlier this month that if you go back in time 25 years ago, almost every association had an amount that they expected to donate to fund what was then the COO, now CCHQ. Somehow, despite being a conservative organisation, we've become more left-wing than Corbyn, and we think there's a magic money tree that grows at 4 Matthew Parker Street. Well, there isn't.
Have they only just noticed?
Well, no. The problem with CCHQ is that they probably got millions in donations. You know, they were getting it from Ben Habib as well in 2016. Just saying. And now obviously that's all dried up, and that's probably why they had the idea of a magic money tree. Because they got loads of donations, and now
it's the same problem as in big tech, where it's just you've got the infinite money pool, and so you start buying all the branded stationery and hiring HR people, and you waste so much money because oh no, that is hilarious, but also kind of tragic.
Hang on, there isn't, and it does make us more and more reliant on a small section of donors who will have more influence and more say over policy that our party delivers. That's always been the case, so don't give me that. And he added, there is no point in having one association saying we've got £200,000 in the bank. That doesn't put a single Conservative into elected role. It comes after speculation that the Tories could be forced to move out of Westminster headquarters due to cash flow issues. I love how cash flow issues just means they don't have money. And are considering closing their Leeds base, which was opened by Boris Johnson. Amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how quickly they fall like that. The same thing will happen to Labour, by the way. Absolutely. Next election, Labour are toast.
As I say, the government doesn't have any money, they have your money.
Yeah. Tensions have been high at the headquarters after Badenoch used an all-staff call to push for improvement. She told the BBC, if we feel there are people who are doing a great job, we will tell them. And when they aren't, we will do the same. One Conservative source said, morale is rock bottom and the staff do not feel they should be blamed. She's unpopular and has failed to bring in money. I don't know if it will say it here, but apparently there was supposed to be a big donor event. They'd not turned up late, and then forgot to ask them for money. Which is, I keep saying it. Like, I thought she'd be okay. Like, 2 years ago I thought she'd be pretty good. Time went on, I thought, oh, she'll be okay. She's now in, and she's worse than I thought she could have been.
Is that +1 for Liz Truss again?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, Liz Truss was better than this.
I was going to say. Unironically, +1 for Liz Truss.
Yeah.
I think my Simpsons meme that I made at the last election with the Tory logo and Bart's face going, "This is the worst election result of my life. Your worst election result so far."
Yeah. I don't see any Tory rebuttal in the chat anymore. I'm just saying.
Oh no.
So
Please
yeah. Well, it goes into the Tories and Reform should do a deal. Reform aren't doing a deal, obviously.
Yeah. They're realising they don't need to.
Yeah, and now Reform UK membership has surpassed 200,000. Isn't that nice? So yeah, absolutely ruined them. You'll love to see it. Right. Well,
then there's we had the dinner party stories where Farage was paying. You were paying up to $25,000 to sit close to pounds to sit close to Farage.
I was going to say yeah.
And then Tory rebuttal mentioned, I can have a dinner with Robert Jenrick for £35.
Why are the Tories losing money? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, with that is where we'll leave it. So chill time. Laughing at the Guardians on Saturday. I know Tharium will be there because he's always there. I need other guests, so I will go around and ask whoever can. But that's a tomorrow job. In the meantime, is there anything else? Videos out as and when I can make them. I should have time tomorrow. And you may be lucky. I might do quite a few over this weekend because I'm quite free, but we'll see. And then next week, Antiquity stream, we're finishing off Peloponnesian War with the epilogue of Sparta falling to Persia, I believe, next Monday. No? Whatever.
Nope.
Sparta doesn't do well. Oh, is it to Rome?
Nope.
Who's it to, Tharium? You know better than me.
Macedon.
Macedon? It's Macedonia. Well, there you go. Spoilers. So that's Monday. Tuesday, no, won't be doing Tuesday. I have prior engagements. Wednesday, it will be Tosh Talks. So I need more topic suggestions, and then we'll do a vote over the weekend as well. So there you go with that. And that'll be it next week. Videos out as and when I can make them. I keep thinking these are videos. There's no point telling you the super chats. It's too late. Or send one if you want, I don't care. Or become a member. There you go. That one I can say now. And also, what's the other thing? Oh yeah, subscribe, like, comment, join the Discords down below. There you go. My mind is all over the place because it's 11 o'clock at night. Leave me alone. Right, with that, I would like to thank the panel for coming on. So thank you very much, Cero.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you on as always. Thank you for coming on, Jag.
No worries. Nice to be here.
Excellent. And finally, thank you, Tharium.
I'll go back to the dungeon now.
Excellent. You'll be dragged out Saturday. Right, lovely. Anyway, with that is everything we had for you for today. So once again, thank you very much for watching,